Get the fucking weed. So she was like, we got that weed, we could smoke weed and have sex. And I was like, oh my God, that's so dirty, man. I've never done that. I never in a million years. She's like, yeah, me neither. And I believed her. So she was like, it'll be great, man, it'll be great. I was like, all right, let's do it. And grab the weed and shit, and rolling it and whatnot. You know, it was all crumbly and whatnot on my fingers. It was old ass weed. I didn't even know how to roll a fucking joint. And while I'm doing it, she's like, "Dude, you sure we want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, it sounds fun." She's like, "Well, remember last time we got stoned?" And I was like, "Fuck, yes." And it's true. The last time and the only time her and I had really ever gotten stoned together, we were kind of living in this house in Beverly Hills because our house, which is in the Hollywood Hills, was flooded. It's a long story, even though we live on a hill in a desert, don't want to tell it. So we had to go live in someplace else for a while, rented this little house in Beverly Hills. It was very, very sweet. And one night, same kind of thing. Her parents left, took the kid out, they went to the movies or some such shit, and Trish had bent over, gave us a pair of joints. And she was just like, you guys should smoke these, man. We were like, hey, all right. She left, and then we were sitting around, and I was like, you know what, man, we got these joints. You want to smoke them? I mean, we smoke cigarettes. What's the difference? And she's like, okay, yeah, let's do it. That'll be fun. So we smoked the joint, lit it up and shit, passed it back and forth, and I was like, nope, nothing. I don't feel anything. I never feel anything. You know, I'm just not one of those dudes that get high or something like that. And she was like, well, you sure? I was like, yeah, hold on. Nothing. It just feels like I was smoking a cigarette or something. She said, maybe we should smoke the other joint right now. And she was like, okay. And so we lit it, and she took a hit, and she was like, I think I'm done. And I was like, not me. You know, and I was smoking, and I was just like, still not fucking feeling anything. And then slowly I remembered, like, oh yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit to kick in and shit. And it was kicking in big time. And I was just like, oh yeah, all right, now I feel it, man. Yeah, I think this is what it's like to be high and stoned, or, you know, just talking garbage and shit. And she's pointing at me, she starts laughing. And I was like, what, you know, because it was this was long before the whole Southwest thing, so I didn't think she was laughing at my weight. So I said, what? And she goes, your face, look at your face. And I looked in the mirror, and my complexion was green. My pallor had kind of gone green, I don't know what from. But since I wasn't a big weed smoker then, I assumed that I'd overdosed on marijuana. Hardcore, big time, where I was just like, oh my God, we gotta call a hospital, you know? They gotta pump my stomach like Elton John or something like that. And she's going, no, we gotta get some food in you. And I was like, yeah, that's what they say. They say, eat's good, let's eat. We stumbled down to the kitchen and shit, looked for some shit, nothing. The whole place is fucking cupboards are bare as like fucking Goldilocks and shit. And I was like, oh, what are we gonna do? But thank God we were in Los Angeles. And one of the only reasons I was able to move to the West, to move to Los Angeles, is because they have convenience stores that deliver your food to your door there. It is a fat man's paradise. And it's a fat stoner's nirvana, because basically you can get really stoned if you got no food around or if you've eaten it all. You just call this place up, man, and like you make an order. Like there's two places, one called Pink Dot and one called Yummy.com. I use Yummy.com because I'm not allowed to use Pink Dot. Because when I first moved to Los Angeles, we tried to use Pink Dot and they kind of cock-blocked us because of the owners of the previous house that we were moving into. Problem was I moved into Affleck's house. So apparently the Pink Dot service works thusly. You call up and you're just like, give me a big fucking thing of diapers and I want a carton of smokes and a fifth of vodka and rubbers, you know, and Oreo ice cream. And they're like, okay. And then they take your credit card number and 20 minutes later they show up at your door and here's your bag, you give them the money and the fucking transaction's done. It's a beautiful fucking thing. And so we're in Los Angeles in that house that we got from Ben. First night we were there, me and Jen were watching the Golden Globes, 2002. No furniture, he had just left a fucking television and shit. So we were watching that and I was like, you know what'd be great, man? Let's get some of that fucking dial-up convenience store, man. Let's like call the convenience store, have them bring food here. She's like, you're so excited by that. And I was like, not really, but it's one of the only reasons I moved here, man. So we called them up and we were just called up Pink Dot, man. And I was like, hi, we want to place an order. And we started ordering a bunch of shit. And they're like, great, what's your address? And I gave them my address and they go, oh, fuck you, Affleck. And they hung up the phone. I couldn't understand why that fucking happened, but it turns out whenever Ben would go away, he had like people living in his house with him. He brought a bunch of people from Boston when he moved out to Los Angeles, and I guess when I first went to his place, they had 8 dudes living with him. It was like a frat house. And when Ben would go away, you know, Ben was the bank account. The money went with him, and he left all those dudes in the house, and they didn't want to go work and shit, so they would just call up Pink Dot, order a bunch of shit, and the dude would show up with a bag, and they'd open the door, and they'd be like, "Tanks," and then slam the fucking door, and then the dude would ring the bell, and they just wouldn't answer, and he'd be like, "Ooh, Affleck," you know? Off he went. So when I tried to order from him, they were just like, "Oh, we can see right through your fucking ruse, Will Hunting," and I was like, "He didn't play Will Hunting." And she was like, "Movie nerd." So we couldn't order from Pink Dot, so we ordered from Yummy.com, and there we are. This is years later, and we're in this house in Beverly Hills, and I'm like, "Let's order food from Yummy.com." So we call up and we start ordering. And you know, it's just basically you go to the website and they got page after page after food. Better than 7-Eleven, but somewhere beneath a grocery store, somewhere in between the two. Great selection though. So I'm going through page after page, ordering a bunch of shit. Just like, "Give me 2 pints of Ben & Jerry's." He's like, "What kind?" I'm like, "You pick." And just going down and shit. And then he was like, "Okay, here's your total." Gave me the total, and he's like, "We'll be there in 45 minutes. I said, "Thank you." I hung up the phone. I said, "Food's coming," and Jennifer's laughing again. I said, "What are you laughing at?" She's like, "Look at the phone, look at the phone." And I looked at the phone at the counter. It tells you how long you've been on the phone. 28 minutes. 28 fucking minutes. There aren't that many items on the fucking menu, man. But I think we might have hit them all and shit. And I was like, "All right, well, it's going to be 45 minutes, man. I think I'm going to take a shit." Because you get real honest when you're high and shit. And she's like, "Okay." And I went into the bathroom, and I'd never taken a shit high in my entire life. Now, I've taken many shits in my life. I'm a pro at it, you know? When you put as much food away as I do, you shit 6-8 times a day. So, I know how to fucking shit. I have no problems with that. This was weird, though, because I was like, you know, stoned, and it was crazy. I sat down and shit, and I just waited. And normally, things just, gravity just pulls shit out of me, man. It drops, and I get the splash that satisfies. And I know that part of the job's done, but nothing was happening, man. It was just all like I'm sitting there kind of slow, and I can't look between my legs because I got very chubby thighs. And I know like chicks, every once in a while I'm in the bathroom with my wife, and she'll be on the toilet and she wipes and she looks down between her legs, and I'm always amazed by that. Because I'm like, I would have to lift 3 guts to see what you're seeing if I was sitting. So I'm sitting there and whatnot, and I'm just waiting for it to go. I can't see under me and whatnot, and the flab of my legs and hips are creating a kind of hermetical seal over the toilet. So nothing's kind of escaping. I can't hear anything. I don't know what's going on. But I'm starting to build a picture in my mind's eye, kind of, you know, just because that's what you do as a writer. And what I'm seeing is my asshole kind of slowly opening, almost to the tune of the opening of 2001. So it was like, dun, 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 dun. Suddenly there was a little tunnel head popping out. I was like, "Oh, progress." I felt, you know, something was leaving me. So I'm sitting there waiting, and it just starts coming out of me, man. It opens slow, but then it starts literally pouring out of me, man. Like I'm a fucking Carvel ice cream. It's just pouring straight out of me, and it's thicker than normal. Like my poo didn't feel right. Because normally it's like, you know, chunk clip, soft clip, you know, white. And this wasn't. This was open. And it just, I didn't know what it was, man. I was like, my God, it's just like, I'm trying to describe it. I'm sitting there talking out loud because it's so alarming. And it felt like in my mind's eye, I'm going, my God, it's like thick like a rope, man. Like it's ropey. My poop is ropey. Because what I saw, what I felt was the rope that you tie boats up with and shit. Not like the rope that you put clothes on. Like it was a thick fucking rope, and it was pouring out of my ass, just spreading and going and going. For a long time, I'm leaning on the sink and sweating and shit like that. Like having a child almost. I just can't believe how ropey it is. It's ropey. And then finally I felt like, like it ended. And I was like, oh, thank God. And I muddied my hand up with the toilet paper. Tried to go this way, but I'm not a back wiper. I have too much back fat back here, so I'm a front wiper. So I went and front wiped and came up and looked, and it was clean. My ball hair smelled though. And then I got up and whatnot, and I tried to keep my balance, and I actually looked in the toilet because I'm a looker. I'm one of those people. I'm the psychological profile of somebody who shits, gets up, and looks in the toilet. Because that's the closest I'll ever come to having a baby of my own. Look what I did. Take it to my mother, put it on the fridge. So I got up and I looked down the toilet after all that shit, and one little rabbit turd, this big. Just a tiny little nugget. I was like, where did it all go? I was like, that was fucking weird, man. Washed my hands and shit, looked in the mirror, my green pallor was starting to go away, and I came out soaking wet and shit. Go to tell Jen, I'm like, I thought I was, and then I look at Jen, and she's sitting on the bed, white, like pale, scared, with very wide eyes, surrounded by 22 bags of groceries. And I was like, where'd that come from? And she's like, this is from yummy.com. I said, when did it get here? She goes, 45 minutes ago. I was like, you're fucking lying. She's like, go check the ice cream. And I opened the ice cream, it was liquefied. And I was like, what the fuck? 45 minutes ago? She's like, Kevin, you were in the bathroom for 2 hours. I said, bullshit. She's going, I'm not fucking lying. Look at the clock. And I was like, huh? No. I was like, you're out of your mind. She's like, 2 hours. I got so scared. I was like, if you were scared, why didn't you fucking come bang on the door, man? What if I fucking hit my head and went face down the bowl? I was just drowning and shit. Why didn't you fucking come and try to alarm me, wake me up or something like that? She's going, I did. I was banging on the door and you were talking to me. I was like, what? I was not talking to you. What was I saying? She was like, you kept saying it's ropey. It's ropey. So that was the bad time when we got and then cut back to that 4th of July, and we're on the verge of maybe doing it again and shit. And I was like, you know what? Let's go. Let's do it. Let's smoke this weed and get silly, because I enjoyed who I was when I smoked up with Seth a few months prior. And we smoked, and it was great. You know, got stoned pretty much right away. And then we just started getting into the touchy-feely shit. And then we just started fucking, man. And again, like, I get high, I'm like, my whole body sucks up as well. And I'm like, hello, you know, I'm super thin. Like, I'll take my shirt off when I'm stoned, like, hello, you know. And in my stoned mind, she's like, you're so sexy. But inside, she's like, oh, God. Turn the lights off, you know. So we fucked, and it was amazing, dude. I'd you know, come a zillion times in my fucking life, but I'd never come while I was stoned. And it was, I know I'm not supposed to advocate that, particularly if there are young people in the room, but it's a bar, so there shouldn't be. And also, I didn't start till I was 38, so keep that in mind. That being said, coming while stoned is amazing, man. It was like taking something that I love dearly and somehow improving it. It's like taking peanut butter and putting pussy into it. Like, cause you're like, how do you improve peanut butter? It's the most perfect thing on earth. Put pussy in it, you know? I loved it, it was amazing, man. And then when you came, holy fucking shit. It was just so completely fucking different. Cause I'm a guy, I don't get on top, I lay on the bottom. Cause if I get on top, lose my balance, it's all over. So I like to be the man on the bottom. She's woman astride and shit, and she was fucking the shit out of me and whatnot. And I was like, oh, about to come, about to holding back. You know, I can hold back for a long fucking time. I can keep from coming, I just can't keep from eating. It's strange. But anyway, so we're coming, and I'm just about to fucking nut, and it was powerful, dude. I thought I would shoot her off me. It was just ropey. It was ropey.